Hello and welcome to the Abelard Business Review for October 2014. It's been a busy month in the business world. There's been a lot of things going on. I wanted to pick out three of those for you. Firstly, I wanted to talk about Tesco's. Tesco's appointed a new chief exec, Dave Lewis, a couple of months ago at the beginning of September, and it's been a pretty hairy ride for him since. He's uncovered a £250 million adjustment in their finances, which is increasingly looking like it was a manipulation and a creation of profits by manipulating the way that suppliers are paid and the way that they account for that. But it's not really that point that I wanted to bring out. And from a business point of view, I wanted to focus on what Dave Lewis is doing. Because he's a new broom. He's arrived and fairly quickly started uncovering some things that are happening in Tesco's that look a bit odd and needed some action. I admire his swift action in terms of the £250 million problem. He suspended the relevant executives, not saying they were guilty, just saying that they can't investigate themselves. And now that the Serious Fraud Office is involved, I think we are going to see to the bottom of whatever happened there. I think there's a lot more news to come on that, and we'll come back to it. But he also has done a number of things. He's looked at how Tesco's has expanded its business model and very quickly taken moves to bring it back into its core business. He's made clear that he wants to sell some of the extra businesses they bought, like Netflix, and he's cancelled some of the more exuberant purchases that the company was making under the old board. So I think a really interesting time for them. He's clearly got a very sharp focus and is moving very quickly. So watch that one, because I think we will get a lot of business insight from the things that he's doing. But the lessons that I draw from what he's done so far is, if you find a problem, get on top of it quickly, address it, do what needs to be done, and don't do it in private. Make sure that people know that you're dealing with it. He's told all of the staff what's going on. He's told the markets. He's told clearly and is cooperating entirely with the fraud office. They will get to the bottom of it much quicker. They will clear it up faster, and that means the business can get on with doing what it does best, retailing, rather than doing what it does worst, which is arguing with itself in the boardroom. So I'm pleased to see that. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the unfortunate accident in the Mojave Desert right at the end of the month for Virgin Galactic. And there, Richard Branson's vision of building a space tourism business took a really significant knock when one of the rockets, the rocket-powered ships, broke up soon after separating from the aircraft that takes it up to about 45,000 feet. Now, it's still too early to tell what the cause of that was, but and obviously it's a tragedy, particularly for the families of those who have been killed or injured as a result of that. But I wanted to look at it from the point of view of entrepreneurship. Richard Branson very quickly made it clear that this was, yes, a tragedy, but it wasn't something that was going to stop his vision. It wasn't going to get in the way of it. And I think that's typical of entrepreneurs. They undertake big projects, they have big ideas, things go wrong. It's just part of the way things go. Hopefully not as often so publicly and hopefully not as often so tragically, but they do go wrong. Entrepreneurs brush themselves down, they get up and they go again. And that's clearly what he's going to do. And I think right now, in the aftermath of this disaster, we'll see Richard Branson at his very best. So again, one to watch. The third thing I want to talk about is a bit of politics. And Ed Miliband, the leader of the Labour Party, announced yesterday or the day before that he was thinking of removing the House of Lords as the second chamber in the UK Parliament and replacing it with an elected Senate. Now, from a political point of view, we could have quite a long discussion about the pros and cons and the merits and demerits of that. But I want to look at this from a business point of view, and I think it's actually really bad for business if that happens. Let me explain why. The House of Lords currently, once you're in the House of Lords, you're in it for life. And that, of course, is one of the complaints that people have about it. But people get elected or elevated to the House of Lords because of the services that they've provided, either in the church with the bishops, in the courts, the judges and the lawyers, or in industry and business. And there are a significant number of lords who cut their teeth and built their reputations and got rewarded for that by being elected, by being appointed to the House of Lords, who probably wouldn't stand in election as a senator. And I think there's a real danger that we lose an enormous amount of business skill and business knowledge from a chamber that doesn't have any primary power, but has the power to make sure that the Lords, that the prime chamber, the House of Commons, brings to them are properly scrutinised, properly checked, properly adjusted for the real business world rather than the political one, and that good laws result. So I'm a little bit concerned about those proposals. We'll see how they pan out. But I think they're things to watch, things that happened in October that we need to be watching in the next few months. So thanks so much for listening. All of those things are things that we talk about and blog about and on our Facebook page. If you search for Abelard on Facebook, you'll find us. If you search for me, William Buist, you'll find me on Google. Sign up for our newsletters and register to get notified when we have new blogs, and some of this stuff will come to you automatically in email. Thanks so much for listening. Look forward to talking to you again in a month or so. Cheers.